Hi there, my name is Neil Blevins, and this video is called U.S. Copyright Office Issues Rules for Generative AI Part 2, More Nuance. So a few weeks ago I posted a video on the current policy of the U.S. Copyright Office on AI-generated art, and please go watch that if you haven't already. And well, this happened. So I figured the video would be popular, but I had no idea it would become my most watched art video of all time. And in some ways it's a little disturbing, as my most popular video is on a subject I'm not an expert in. While I've dealt with copyright issues a number of times, I'm not a lawyer and I cannot give an official opinion. The main goal was to let people know about the policy and to give some highlights. Anyways, I read through the comments and responded to those that I could, and I wanted to give a huge thank you to the people who gave me positive feedback, and a huge thanks to the people who brought up some interesting questions or things they wanted to see clarified. While I can't touch on all the topics here, I wanted to go into a few extra details and nuance and one correction on some of the stuff I mentioned in the last video. And while I'm still not a lawyer, I actually asked a few copyright lawyer friends for their input on a few of these questions off the record, so I'd consider these answers to be more accurate, although still not an official lawyer opinion. So first point, I suspect one of the reasons the video is so popular is because we all want definitive answers in this time of extreme change. Whether you're pro-AI, anti-AI, or somewhere in the middle like me, there's so much going on in such a short period of time, and we want to grab hold of at least something we know to be true and unchanging. But as with most areas of law, laws are open to interpretation. That's why we have lawyers and judges. And as such, the definitive answers we may be looking for are not as definitive as we might hope. As I mentioned in the first video, a lot of copyrights are determined on a case-by-case basis, and so interpretation and nuance are part of the process. So just because you've changed something on a public domain image doesn't mean you're assured copyright. So in the first video, I gave the example of the Mona Lisa, and I said you could make your own copy of it, put your name on it, and it could be copyrighted. But after speaking to several lawyers, I was told that the likelihood it could be copyrighted as described in my video is super low. The Copyright Office will want to see some sufficient artistic creativity in my modification. How different does it have to be copyrightable? That's up to the interpretation of the Copyright Office, so there's no official line of how much needs to change, and basically you have to try and see what they say, or get a lawyer to argue your case. So anyway, the example I gave was not ideal, and so I'm going to retract it. But that being said, you don't need to copyright something in order to sell it. So my copy of the Mona Lisa with my signature, I can make postcards of it, prints, sell it on t-shirts, etc. It's public domain, and so no one can go after me for copyright violation for selling it, even one with minimal changes. But that said, without a copyright, I can't stop others from doing the same thing. And of course, since AI-generated artwork has been defined as public domain with the recent policy, you can still sell it without copyright. You just can't stop others from selling the same work. Now on to the third topic, copyrighting an image versus copyrighting elements of an image. So let's look at the Mona Lisa example again. Figure 1 is a digital photograph of the Mona Lisa, which cannot be copyrighted. Figure 2 has a modification that I made to it. This modifies the image enough that I might be able to get copyright. And again, I use the word might. The Copyright Office makes the final determination if I've changed it enough. But let's say they do give me copyright. What that actually means is I have copyright on my changes to the image. So what I really have copyright on is figure 3, which are my changes. But even if I only have copyright on those changes, the end result is still the same. Once I have my copyright, I can sell t-shirts of figure 2, and if anyone else tries to sell t-shirts of figure 2, they are violating my copyright, because the element I added is part of what they're trying to sell. So apparently it's still okay to say I have copyright of figure 2. It's just that to be super clear, the thing no one else can use is my changes to figure 2. They can make their own modifications to figure 1 and sell them and perhaps copyright them as long as it doesn't include my changes in figure 2. So those are the big issues of clarification and correction from my first video. But I wanted to leave you with a couple of big questions that I noticed coming up again and again in the comments. Do note, I don't have official answers to these questions, but they're important questions and so I felt it was good to mention them. So first, is a painting derived from an image prompt copyrightable? The Copyright Office has stated that a text prompt is not enough to get copyright of an image, but if you use an image prompt, especially if the image is something you painted yourself, does that change the copyrightability of the generated image? I mentioned in the video that this rule hasn't been ruled on yet, but with all the comments about this subject, it's obviously one of the most important things on people's minds, and so therefore I'd really love to see someone test out this theory. So number 2, if it isn't public, is it public domain? Several people spoke of a workaround where if you never show anyone the AI image, then it can't be public domain because the public has never seen it. And so if you paint your own copy of it, even if the end result looks exactly like the AI-generated image, that might be copyrightable. The Copyright Office defines the term public domain as creative materials that are not protected by intellectual property laws such as copyright, trademark, or patent laws. So public domain is the opposite of things that are copyrighted. But again, could you make an argument that something can't be public domain if it's not public? That theory brings up a lot of other interesting questions too, like if you make an AI image, keep it private, paint your own version of it that looks almost exactly like it, then get that copyrighted, and then somehow the original AI image gets released, can your copyright be taken away? And finally, the other thing I saw mentioned a lot is a character image a character, or does a character need more fleshed out details? So basically, is a character just an image, or can it be just an image? Or to be considered a character, does it need to have a personality, a written history, and stuff like that? According to the Copyright Office, a drawing, picture, depiction, or written description of a character can be registered for copyright. So while I don't have a definitive answer, that would indicate to me that yes, a picture is enough. And so therefore, if your picture of a character is made entirely by AI, you probably cannot copyright that character. So to fully answer these 3 questions, and many, many others, I'd love to see some testing. If I were wealthy and retired, I would totally spend time creating AI images using every technique imaginable, try and get them copyrighted, explain to the Copyright Office exactly how they were made, and then do an Uber video showing all of my results, what got copyrighted and what was refused and why. I think it would be really fascinating, but sadly, I'm not at that stage of my life yet. So either somebody else has to do it, or I'll have to wait for each and every one of these situations to happen independently. Anyway, hopefully this gives you a little more information on the topic. Again, thanks for all the comments, and now I'm going to shift my next few videos back to more practical art topics. But if I hear more policy information from the Copyright Office in the future, especially on people trying to copyright new AI techniques, I may do more update videos to let people know what the Copyright Office said. So thank you very much for watching. If you want to see other art-related tutorials and lessons in both video and text format, go to neilblevins.com and go to the Art Lessons section. And feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to be notified the next time I post a new video. Thank you very much.